Naomi pressed her palms hard against the bathroom door, her breath jagged and unsteady. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered, "Why did you marry me if you feel nothing?" Her words cracked in the silence, fragile yet sharp. On the other side, Darius's voice was ice. He said, "This is business, Naomi. Do not mistake convenience for affection." His tone was flat, every syllable deliberate, crushing. She closed her eyes, her body trembling against the cold wood. Her heart pounded like thunder, but anger burned through the cracks of despair. Naomi said, "You can strip me of kindness, but not my dignity." The hallway beyond the door felt endless, tension hanging like smoke. Darius' silence after her defiance was louder than his cruelty. The night pressed close, the walls heavy with secrets neither dared to speak. Naomi's tears slowed, replaced with fire that refused to die even in the dark. The slam of the bedroom door echoed like thunder, shattering the fragile quiet. Naomi stumbled onto the bed, clutching the sheets as if fabric could shield her. Her sobs spilled raw, her body folding under weight she could no longer carry. Her whisper cracked in the dark, "He will never love me, not ever." Yet her own voice echoed back, filled with fire, daring her not to break. She buried her face into pillows, tears soaking fabric, the city lights casting jagged shadows through the tall windows. The luxury around her was suffocating, walls draped in silk and marble cold as his heart. She wanted freedom more than comfort, truth more than riches. Her spirit wrestled against despair, clinging to dignity like a lifeline. The night pressed its silence, offering no comfort, only the throb of her pain. Still, beneath every tear, defiance grew stronger, sparking quietly against the storm of betrayal. Darius poured whiskey into a crystal glass, the amber liquid catching light like fire. His jaw clenched, his hand steady though his chest tightened beneath his suit. He muttered, "This is business, not love." Each word fell heavy, masking something he feared to name. The kitchen around him gleamed with cold steel and marble, too pristine, too lifeless. He stared into the glass but saw his reflection waver, a shadow of turmoil he buried beneath control. His silence was a prison of his own making. He raised the glass to his lips, but the burn only deepened the ache. His eyes darkened, not from drink, but from memories clawing at his heart. Pride kept him rigid, chained to his walls of ice. Yet behind that mask, secrets screamed. Simone leaned against the balcony railing, city lights flickering beneath her. Her caramel skin shimmered under the moon, her sleek straightened hair framing a smile laced with venom. She said, "You'll destroy her, Darius." He joined her with cold silence, his sharp suit a wall of armor. Darius replied. She agreed. She knew the terms. His tone was harsh, dismissive, cutting. Simone's laugh was sharp, echoing in the night air, but her eyes glinted with secrets. The skyline glittered like temptation, but the air between them thickened with judgment. Simone tilted her chin, enjoying her dominance in the moment. The night felt colder, more dangerous, as their words carried knives unseen. Marcus found Naomi curled on the living room couch, her body wrapped in a blanket. His copper-toned face was lined with concern as he sat close, voice low. He said, "Naomi, you don't have to take this." Her eyes were swollen but fierce. Naomi whispered, "I chose this, Marcus. I'll endure it." Her voice was fragile yet unbreakable, a quiet vow against her pain. He shook his head, his hand hovering close, aching to protect her. The silence stretched heavy, but her spirit spoke louder than her wounds. Naomi's dignity shimmered through her suffering, her will refusing to bend. Marcus's chest ached, yet he admired her strength even as his heart broke for her. Morning light broke through tall windows, but Naomi felt none of its warmth. She sat at the edge of the bed, her hands clasped tight in her lap, her eyes swollen from the night's tears. She whispered to herself, "I must survive this." Her voice was soft, but it carried a sharp edge. She remembered her mother's warnings, the sacrifices that brought her here. Naomi's heart ached for love but clung to pride. In the silence, she promised herself not to crumble. No matter how cold Darius was, she would hold her ground. The weight of duty pressed hard, yet dignity pulsed stronger than despair. Darius stood before a mirror, knotting his tie with precision. His espresso-toned reflection stared back, polished and controlled, but his eyes betrayed unrest. He said to himself, "Emotions are weakness." The lie echoed hollow in the quiet room. His chest tightened as Naomi's voice replayed in his head. He shut his eyes, gripping the tie as if it were a lifeline. Beneath his cold exterior, cracks threatened to show. Yet pride wrapped around him like armor, convincing him control was survival. His silence masked the storm. Naomi wandered into the kitchen, her steps slow but steady. Marcus was already there, leaning against the counter with coffee in hand. His copper-toned face softened at the sight of her. He said, "You don't look fine, Naomi." She tried to smile, but her lips trembled. Naomi whispered, "I can't let him see me weak." Marcus shook his head, setting the cup aside, his eyes sharp with worry. He told her, "Strength isn't silence, it's knowing when to fight back." Her chest tightened at his words, but her gaze held steady, fire quietly rekindling. Simone entered the penthouse, her heels clicking against marble, her presence sharp as glass. She smirked, eyes sweeping Naomi like a predator circling prey. Simone said, "You're not built for this life." Naomi's jaw tightened, her voice steady. Naomi said, "I won't break for you, Simone." The air crackled, their stares locked in silent battle. Simone tilted her head, lips curling with superiority. Darius walked in, silence his only command, but his eyes flickered with something unreadable. The moment passed, but the wound cut deep. That night, Naomi stood alone on the balcony, the city glittering beneath her like broken glass. The cold air brushed her skin, but her chest burned with defiance. She whispered, "I will not be forgotten. I will not be silenced." Her words vanished into the night sky, but they carved fire inside her. She thought of her dreams, the love she longed for, and the dignity she refused to lose. Behind her, Darius watched silently from the doorway, unseen. His chest rose with words he could not speak. The night carried both their wounds, stitched by silence, heavy with secrets. Naomi sat at the long dining table, untouched food gleaming beneath crystal lights. Her fork shook in her hand, but she lifted her chin in quiet defiance. Darius sat across, his espresso-toned face unreadable, his tailored suit a wall of steel. He said, "Stop pretending this is something it's not." Her jaw clenched as she whispered, "Maybe I'm stronger than you think." The silence stretched, thick with unsaid truths. Their eyes locked, neither yielding. Every heartbeat felt like war drums, every glance a weapon. The air burned with desire and pride, each refusing to bow, both aching beneath their armor. Later, Naomi stormed into the library, shelves towering over her like judgment. She pulled books angrily, her breath sharp, her voice trembling. "He'll never see me." Marcus followed, his copper-toned face worried, his hand hovering near her shoulder. He said, "Naomi, you can't fight him by breaking yourself." She spun, tears in her eyes, whispering, "I don't know how to stop." Marcus's chest tightened, his words heavy with care. He said, "Then let me remind you, you're worth more than his pride." Her breathing slowed, but her heart still burned. Simone entered the penthouse uninvited, her heels echoing across marble. Her caramel skin glowed in the harsh light, her lips curved in poison. She said, "Darius, she'll ruin you." Naomi froze, anger flashing in her eyes. She replied, "Maybe I'll free him instead." Simone's laughter was sharp, cruel. Darius stepped between them, his espresso-toned face hard, his voice colder than ice. He said, "Enough." The air snapped with tension, each word striking like lightning. Naomi's heart raced, Simone's smirk widened, and Darius' silence left wounds deeper than words. The night storm raged outside, thunder shaking the glass. Naomi stood by the balcony, rain streaking the windows. She whispered, "Why does he hate me so much?" Darius appeared behind her, his eyes shadowed. He said, "Hate isn't what this is." She turned, her voice trembling with fury. "Then what is it, Darius? Chains? Punishment?" He stepped closer, silence pressing heavy between them. The storm outside echoed the storm within, their bodies drawn yet divided. Every breath was war, every silence louder than screams. The night swallowed their words, but the fire between them burned unrestrained. Later, Naomi sat alone in the dark living room, her arms wrapped around herself. The city lights flickered through glass walls, cold and distant. She whispered, "I don't belong here." Her voice trembled, but her spine remained straight. Marcus entered quietly, his copper-toned face softened with sorrow. He said, "You belong wherever your heart leads, Naomi." Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears as she replied, "Then why does it feel like my heart is breaking?" Marcus reached out but held back, his silence a wound of its own. The room breathed with grief, pride, and fragile hope. Naomi stood frozen as the heavy envelope slid across the desk toward her. Darius' voice was cold, controlled. He said, "This is what you were never meant to know." Her trembling fingers opened it, revealing documents stamped with secrets, proof that their marriage was tied to debts her family owed. Her chest heaved as betrayal carved deep wounds in her pride. Naomi whispered, "So I was nothing but payment." Her words cut like shattered glass. Darius looked away, his silence more damning than confession. The truth poisoned the air, every breath harder to take. Naomi's vision blurred as she stumbled back, the papers falling to the floor. Her voice cracked, "You used me, Darius." He stepped forward, his face tight with conflict, but his words were ruthless. He said, "I gave you security. Don't confuse that with betrayal." Rage burned in her eyes, her pride refusing to collapse beneath him. She said, "You didn't save me. You bought me." The silence after her words tore deeper than shouting ever could. In that moment, both stood broken, bound by chains neither wanted but could not escape. That night, Marcus found Naomi on the balcony, her eyes red but burning with fire. He said softly, "You deserve truth, not chains." She turned, her voice trembling but fierce. Naomi said, "He stole my choice." Marcus's hands tightened at his sides, helpless against her pain. The city lights glimmered below, cruel in their beauty. He whispered, "If you walk away, I'll stand with you." Naomi's chest rose, torn between dignity and survival. Her tears glistened like shattered stars, but strength pulsed beneath the sorrow. Simone appeared in the doorway, her smile sharp as a knife. She said, "Did you think love had anything to do with this? You were never his choice." Naomi's eyes widened, fury and heartbreak colliding. She whispered, "You knew." Simone's laughter was cruel, echoing through the night. Darius' figure appeared behind her, his silence heavier than thunder. Naomi's body stiffened, her voice breaking into fire. "You all conspired against me." Simone's smirk deepened, but Darius' eyes flickered with regret he refused to voice. The betrayal clawed deeper than any wound. Naomi locked herself in the bedroom, her back pressed to the door, her breath jagged. She whispered, "They will not break me." Her reflection in the mirror stared back, fragile yet unyielding. She touched the glass, vowing to reclaim her dignity. Outside, Darius stood in silence, his hand hovering near the handle, but never turning it. His chest rose with words unsaid, but pride chained him in stillness. Naomi's tears slowed, replaced by a fire that refused to be extinguished. Betrayal had cut her, but it had also forged her resolve. Naomi stormed into the grand living room, her braids whipping behind her, her chest heaving. She shouted, "You destroyed me, Darius." He stood tall, espresso skin glowing under the chandelier, his eyes dark with restrained fury. He said, "I gave you power, Naomi, not chains." Her fists clenched as tears streaked her face. Naomi cried, "You gave me a prison." Their words clashed like thunder, voices cutting through the silence of polished marble. Every step brought them closer, neither retreating, their pride weaponized. The air itself trembled with rage and longing. Darius' hand slammed onto the table, glass shattering under his palm. His voice roared, "Do you think I wanted this?" Naomi froze, the sound slicing into her chest. Her tears mixed with fire as she whispered, "Then why lie to me?" His chest rose with fury, but his eyes softened for a moment, betraying a truth he buried. He said, "Because loving you is weakness I can't afford." Her heart stung at his confession, her lips trembling. Silence stretched, sharp and unbearable, as the truth tore through them. Naomi stepped closer, her voice breaking yet strong. She said, "You think love is weakness, but it's the only strength I have left." Darius' breath caught, his mask slipping as he met her fiery gaze. His silence screamed louder than words. Naomi's hand hovered near his chest, trembling between anger and desire. She whispered, "Tell me I was nothing, and I'll walk away." His jaw clenched, but his eyes burned with conflict. The air closed in around them, every heartbeat a thunderclap. Neither could breathe, neither could let go. Simone appeared suddenly in the doorway, her smirk venomous. She said, "He'll never choose you, Naomi. You're just a bargain." Naomi's body stiffened, rage igniting her veins. She shouted, "Then watch me break your lies." Darius' face darkened, his silence a storm contained. Simone laughed, her caramel-toned face gleaming with cruelty. The room became a battlefield, every glance a blade. Naomi's pride burned hotter than her pain, and for the first time she refused to bend. The balance of power shifted in that moment, the air alive with defiance. Naomi broke free from Simone's poison and turned to Darius, her voice a blade of truth. She said, "You can hide behind pride, but I will not live in shadows, Dua." His chest heaved, his eyes flashing with both fury and longing. He whispered, "You make me weak." Naomi stepped closer, her tears shimmering like fire. She replied, "No, I make you human." For a moment, their rage collided with desire, too close to deny, too dangerous to embrace. The silence thundered, fragile yet unbearable, as both stood on the edge of breaking. The penthouse was silent, the storm inside them replaced by a heavy calm. Naomi sat near the window, the city glowing far below. She whispered, "I can't keep fighting this battle alone." Darius stood in the shadows, his espresso-toned face unreadable, his voice low. He said, "I never meant to break you." Her chest tightened at his words, a sliver of truth hidden in the quiet. She turned, her eyes red but fierce, and replied, "Then let me heal myself, even if you never love me." The silence was not cruel this time. It was fragile, trembling like glass. Marcus entered quietly, his copper-toned face filled with concern. He said, "Naomi, you don't owe anyone your pain." She met his gaze, her voice soft but strong. Naomi whispered, "I owe myself my dignity." Darius lingered nearby, silent, his eyes locked on the floor. Marcus turned toward him, voice sharp. "If you can't give her respect, let her go." Darius flinched, but his silence held. Naomi breathed deeply, her chest rising with defiance. For the first time she felt the weight of her own strength more than her wounds. Later, Naomi walked alone into the library, her hand trailing across rows of untouched books. Her whisper carried softly, "I will not vanish into silence." Darius entered behind her, his step slow, his voice almost breaking. He said, "You changed me, Naomi, even when I fought it." She turned, her expression torn between anger and longing. Naomi replied, "Words don't heal chains, Darius." His chest rose as if to speak again, but he faltered, his pride still binding him. Their eyes met across the room, fire and regret colliding. Simone returned, her voice slicing through the quiet. She said, "This will never work. He's too broken, and you're too stubborn." Naomi straightened, her mahogany skin glowing with defiance in the dim light. She replied, "Then let me decide what I am." Darius' eyes shifted toward Naomi, a flicker of admiration breaking through his cold mask. Simone's smirk faltered for the first time. Naomi's strength filled the room, undeniable and unshaken. She no longer stood as a victim, but as someone rising from the ashes. That night, Naomi stepped out onto the balcony, the cool wind brushing her braids across her face. She whispered, "I am not just a wife by agreement, I am more." Behind her, Darius finally spoke, his voice rough. He said, "Naomi, I was blind. You are not weakness, you are the only thing that makes me real." Her breath caught, but she did not turn. Her tears shimmered as she whispered, "Then prove it." The city glowed beneath them, but the storm in their hearts promised no easy calm. The apartment was cloaked in silence, the kind that hurt more than words. Naomi sat curled on the couch, her mahogany skin glowing faintly under the dim lamp. She whispered, "I gave everything and lost myself." Darius stood at a distance, espresso-toned face shadowed by regret, his hands trembling though his voice remained hard. He said, "I never wanted to lose you." Her gaze cut through him, fire and grief colliding. Naomi replied, "You never tried to keep me." The quiet fractured into something heavier, truth that could no longer be buried. Marcus arrived, his copper-toned face filled with urgency. He said, "Naomi, you don't need to prove your worth to him." She shook her head, eyes burning with pride. Naomi whispered, "It's not about him anymore, it's about me." Darius turned sharply, his chest heaving, but no words came. The room pulsed with unspoken choices. Marcus stepped closer, his voice firm. "Then walk away before he takes more from you." Naomi rose, her legs trembling, but her spirit unbroken. The moment felt like a knife's edge, love, betrayal, dignity, all demanding her answer. Simone stepped forward from the doorway, her caramel skin glowing under cool city light. She smirked, her words dripping venom. "You'll walk, Naomi, and he'll never follow." Naomi's lips trembled, but her eyes blazed. She said, "Then he'll live with losing me." Darius' jaw clenched, his silence a confession of everything he could not admit. Simone's smirk faltered, shaken by Naomi's strength. The room shifted, no longer Simone's stage. Naomi stood taller, her pain transforming into power. The balance had changed. The girl they thought fragile was now unbreakable. Naomi walked toward the balcony, the city glittering beneath her. She whispered, "I am not your possession. I am my own." Her words cut like lightning through the night. Darius followed, his espresso skin glowing under the moonlight, his chest rising with urgency. He said, "Naomi, don't leave me with silence." Her tears burned, but she did not turn. She replied, "You left me with silence long before tonight." The wind carried her vow into the sky, heavier than thunder. Darius' shoulders sagged, the weight of loss crashing into him. Naomi turned one last time, her dark eyes shimmering with tears but unyielding. She whispered, "You can keep your pride, Darius. I'll keep my soul." Her words struck deeper than any wound, leaving silence as the only answer. Darius' hand lifted halfway toward her, but he let it fall, his pride chaining him in defeat. The city roared outside, indifferent to their collapse. Naomi walked past him, her steps steady, her dignity blazing brighter than her pain. The final blow was not his cruelty. It was her choice to rise above it.